Hi, this is Ronnie Velasquez, and the reason you're receiving this video is because perhaps you have a new account under Cloze under the Shark Tank, which is where we put all of our leads. So if you have received an account from me, this is your first video that you're going to watch, and I'm going to make it really simple for you. It's going to be 5 minutes or less, and I just want to give you an idea on how the system works. Now, the first time that you open Cloze, and you may see a lot of things and may become a little bit overwhelmed because there's a lot of things. But if you just focus on the things that I'm going to teach you today, it's going to be super easy for you to use the system. All right. So the very first time you open Cloze, you're going to open the system, and you will see here on your left side you're going to have your buttons. So you have your agenda, you have your inbox for emails, you have your people. To see the people, you have your projects. We're going to talk about projects in a different video. And then you have a review, which is a communication you had with people through the week, email sent, and then if you go to more, there's a few more things here: companies, analytics, social, schedule, etc. So once you have this here, the most important buttons that you have at this moment is going to be the agenda and the people. The agenda and the people, all right? Now, by the way, this is a new view that it may not be available in your account yet, because they're testing it out, and I'm one of the testers, so you may not see it this way. But it doesn't matter that. What matters is the following. Every day, we upload leads into the system, and we share those leads with the people that are working under our account. In this case, we have about 4 people that are working under our account. So what we're doing right now is that we're sharing the leads with people. Now, the leads are not assigned to people. I already tried that, and that doesn't work, and I'll tell you the reason why. I would assign somebody to, let's say, Agent A, and then Agent A will be on vacation and nobody's following up on that lead, and Agent B, it doesn't have a lead and he doesn't have anything to do. So, you know, it gets difficult, because when I assign it, then the person that I assign it to may not take care of that lead. So we decided to do it backwards. So what we're doing right now is that we are sharing the leads with everybody, and you have to decide whether or not you want to work with the lead and assign that lead to yourself. So we made it in a way that you can assign the lead to yourself, and you only assign the leads to yourself that you want to work with. All right. So every day you will see leads coming through. So what you want to do is you want to look at the leads, and if it's already assigned to somebody else, it's probably going to show here that it's assigned to somebody else, or it's going to show here under more that is going to say that it's assigned to somebody else. All right. But what I'm going to show you right now is I'm going to show you a lead that has not been assigned to anybody, how to look at it, how to assign it, and what to do after you receive it. So let's say this one here, for example, Wilson Hernandez. The very first thing that I'm looking at here, forget about this center console right here, because this center console right here is a little bit confusing. So don't look at it right now. What you're looking at is you're looking at this section right here on the top. You're looking at the notes right here on the bottom, and you're looking at this bar right here on the side. So let's start with the first one. This says Wilson Hernandez. The zip code is 91344, and it's Granada Hills. And this person is a web seller. That means that this person submitted a form online saying that they want to know how much their property is worth, because they may be thinking about selling the property. So sometimes it's selling, sometimes it's refinancing, but for the most part, it's selling the property. So now that this is what I know. I know that Wilson Hernandez is a seller in Granada Hills, zip code 91344. If I go here to the bottom, I'm going to see a little bit more information. And you will see here that it says single family detached, and it says reason for selling. It says home valuation. So what this tells me is that this person requested a home valuation on the property. All right. And then it says asking price $730. And sometimes the asking price is not asking price, is what they think that the property is worth, and they want to double check that number. So it's $730,000 right here. Okay. And then if you're looking at here, you're looking at this is a seller potential, and then there's a title here that says seller web leads. This here is the single most important thing in the program, and I'll tell you the reason why. Because every task that you need to do, every step that you need to do, every email that you need to send, it's going to change depending on the type of lead that person is. Let's say, for example, it's a seller lead. The steps that you're going to follow are different than if the person is a buyer lead. and it's different if a person is a referral, and it's different if a person is a loan lead, something like that, right? So every relationship, every seller, whether it's a seller, buyer, or loan, has its own set of steps. All right. So what you need to do is the first thing you need to do is you need to assess and make sure that this person is in the right categories, because sometimes we make mistakes, and sometimes we put a seller under buyer and things like that. We don't make that mistake very often, but sometimes we do. So you got to make sure that if it's a seller, it's going to be under seller, and it's going to be under potential. And then right here where it says campaigns or next steps, you're going to go to where it says seller web leads campaign. This is the seller web lead campaign, which is specifically created. The steps on this campaign is specifically created for this particular type of lead, the web seller lead. All right. So you will follow the steps here. So now I want to show you, before I do that, I want to show you something else. If this person was a for sale by owner, I will come down to the for sale by owner campaign right here, for sale by owner campaign, because we have campaigns for every category of sellers. So we have campaigns for the web sellers, people who requested information about selling their property online, for sale by owners, for people who are on the fence. That means that they want to sell but they're not ready yet. All right. There's also a campaign for the book campaign, is my personal campaign. There's another campaign for expireds. There's another campaign for foreclosures. There's another campaign for short sales. There's another campaign for equity sellers. There's another campaign for cash offers. There's another campaign for the MAP program, programs, the Mohan Advantage programs. There's another campaign for divorces. And right now I am working on another campaign for probates, which is not ready yet, but it will probably be ready in the near future. So the very first thing you want to do is you want to select the very first step after seller leads, because this is a web seller. If it was, for example, a for sale by owner, then it would be the next step after for sale by owner. So there would be this one right here. Okay. So in this case, I'm going to select that step. Once I select that step, all right, what I need to do is I need to go to the to do right here. I need to open the step, and I need to follow up, and then it's going to give me a pre-written email of what you want to say. All the emails that I have are written in English and Spanish. I don't know any other language, so it would be English and Spanish only. And by looking at the name, Wilson Hernandez, I mean, it's kind of 50-50. I don't know, maybe he speaks English or Spanish. What you can do is you can either delete the English and leave the Spanish, or delete the Spanish and leave the English, or leave them both. It doesn't matter. So the one thing that you want to do is you want to personalize this email a little bit, all right? So you can say, hello, Wilson. I just, today is Friday, for example, and it's 3:50 p.m. and I work in the acquisitions department. So I would say something like this. Today is Friday, December 1st. I'm sorry, we're already in December. December 1st, and I work, and then I will say I work at the acquisitions department for Berkshire Hathaway, and I've been told by my company that you want to sell your property. How much do you want for it? And that's the email I'm going to send out. And if you're going to do it in Spanish, the same thing. Hoy es viernes, diciembre primero. And the reason I want to customize the email is because I don't want them to think that this is a cookie cutter, drip campaign. I want them to realize that I'm actually sending them the email. So the next thing that you want to do is you want to track and make sure that they open the email. So you can select this button right here, the little bell right here, and you can set it up for track open. So what the system is going to do is going to notify you when that email has been opened, and it's going to notify you right here where it says open right here. So the system is going to notify you. Why is that important? Because it is important because of the following. If you're sending a lot of emails every day, like I do, I send a lot of emails every day, I don't have time to call everybody that I send the emails, but as soon as somebody opens the email, I try to call them back at that moment. And the reason why is if you can just communicate with people as soon as they're reading the email, that is by far the best opportunity that you have to talk to people, and that gives you a great excuse to call them and say, hey, I sent you an email, did you get it, etc., etc., introduce yourself, etc., etc. So right now I'm going to track open. Another thing that I could do is I can set up a follow-up reminder. I can set up the system to remind me if Wilson did not open the email or Wilson does not reply to the email. Now, I don't do this with everybody, because if I do a follow-up on every email that I sent, forget it. I'm going to get tons and tons of notifications. So you might want to use this when it's needed. For example, if you send an email to escrow and you want to make sure they don't forget about doing something, you can use that remind me feature. But for right now, we're not going to do that. So I'm not going to do that right now. I'm not going to set it up. And then the last one is the send later. You can also send emails later. So I'm going to give you another trick that I use. I set up the first 3 emails to send out automatically at different times. So that way I don't have to be sending those emails. I don't have to come back into the system and send those emails every time. I can just set up the first 3. I always set up the first 3 emails, 3 or 4 depending on the campaign emails, all right, if I can, in order for me to expedite the process. Now, you don't have to do it. All right, you don't have to do it. You can have the system remind you when you need to send the email, but you can also schedule them for later. That's another way of doing it. So what I need to do now is I already track open. I'm going to click on the send. Okay, so I'm going to click on the send. And after I click on the send, I'm going to go back to Wilson by clicking on the W. And I'm going to check off that that activity has been completed. So I'm going to click that activity that I just did right now as completed. Then I'm going to set up the next activity, and the next activity is the next to do, or the next task that I need to do, and that is going to be tomorrow. So you can do that tomorrow. All right. Once the to do is set up, you don't have to worry about this because it's going to show up on your agenda. It is very, very important, and I'm not kidding when I tell you this. It's very important that you set up the tasks for each one of your contacts in your database, because if you don't set up the task on each contact, you will forget about them. I promise you this. You will get busy. We're sending leads every single day, so you're gonna, in the first week alone, you're gonna probably get about 10 or 12 leads. Next week you're gonna get another 10. Next week you're gonna get another 10, etc. By the end of the month, you're gonna have like 60 or 70 leads. By the end of 3 months, you're gonna have 200 leads, and you will completely forget about them if you don't set up the tasks. So I'm telling you right now, it's really, really important that each person that you have in your contact database has a task that is coming up in the future. All right. Now, having said that, let me give you another tool here. If you look at, the next thing that I want you to do before you do that is I want you to assign this person to yourself. That's the very first thing that I forgot to mention before. I'm sorry. So the very first thing that you want to do before you send the emails or before you change the campaigns is you want to go into more, you want to go into reassign, and you need to reassign it to yourself. Like I said at the beginning, we are not assigning contacts anymore to people because people don't follow up with them sometimes, right? So what we're doing right now is we're giving you the responsibility of assigning the contact to yourself. If you want to work with that person, you need to assign it to yourself. Once you assign it to yourself, nobody else can touch that person because it's locked. The contact is locked. Nobody else can do anything with that person. But if you don't assign it to yourself, then anybody can come in and start working with that person. You see how it works, okay? If you do not want to work with a person, it makes absolutely no sense for you to have a bunch of people in your database that you're not following up with, or they're not even responsible for. So what you want to do, if you were not to work with Wilson, what you want to do is you want to go into edit and you want to go into delete. And this button right here, delete. I'm not going to do that right now, but if you click on delete, it's going to delete it from your system, but it's not going to delete it from anybody else's system. So somebody else can see Wilson and say, yeah, I want to work with that person and take that person. So don't worry about deleting the leads from your system because you're not affecting anybody else, okay? Just make sure that you're deleting the people you don't want to work with, all right? So as you can see here, this morning we sent, or yesterday, I guess, yesterday at 11 p.m., we sent over some new leads. This one here is in Rosemead, and this one, Seville already claimed that lead. So because Seville already claimed that lead, I cannot do anything with that lead. Well, I can because I'm the administrator, but I cannot do anything. You cannot do anything with that lead because Seville already claimed that lead. So you as a team user, you cannot do anything with that lead because Seville already claimed it. This one here is Catherine Tran. This one here is Catherine Tran again. This one here is Randy Vargas. Those are the ones we sent out yesterday. Some of the ones that we sent out yesterday. So as you can see, most of these leads have already been claimed by somebody. It is on a first come, first serve basis. You have to come in and you have to look at the leads and you have to assign them to yourself. I am not going to assign leads anymore because once again, I did that already and it didn't work. People were not following up on the leads. So I want to make sure that you do that. The other thing is this. When you're communicating with these people, whether you're calling them by phone, by clicking on this button here, you can see their phone number. And what I want you to do is I want you to log in your calls. So it's easy. All you have to do, let me go back to Wilson. I can say here, for example, I call Wilson. You click on that button and then you can say no answer, left message in progress, whatever, right? And then once you do that, you save it. And that's important, and I'll tell you the reason why. Because the system tracks the logs, the calls that you log in, and the emails you send out. I will review your account every 30 days. And if I see that you're not logging in calls and you're not sending out emails, I will stop sending you leads because obviously you're not working the leads that we send you. I'm sorry, but you know, I tried that already. I sent people leads and I never had any accountability. People were not calling, no emailing, not doing anything with them. And I'm not going to do that again. I rather not send you leads because I can send them to somebody else that are actually going to take care of them. So, you know, so you need to do that because every month I'm going to review your account and I'm going to make sure to see how many leads are you calling, how many leads are you emailing, what kind of interaction you have with your leads. The system also tells me which leads you have never talked to before, so I'm going to keep track of all those things. And once again, I will have a conversation with you and I will say, hey, you're not following up on the leads. If you're assigning them to yourself and you're not following up on those leads, then I may discontinue your subscription, okay? So anyways, that's that. And as of right now, this is the easiest way that you can get into the system and you can start doing those tasks. Once again, I'm going to make it really simple. You get the lead. If you want to work with the lead, you go to more, you reassign, you assign it to yourself, all right? And if you don't want the lead, you go to edit, you delete the lead if you don't want it. And if you want the lead, you go to the campaign specific for this type of lead. You will see what the specific is right here. And then you go to that specific campaign, you look it up here, and you start with step number 1. And once you're done with the step number 1, you go to step number 2. And once you're done with step number 3, you go to step number 3. And once you go finish step number 3, you go to step number 4, etc., etc. If you ever want to change the date on one of your tasks, all you have to do is click on the ribbon here and you can postpone it for another date. And that's that. And don't forget that whenever you send emails, the important thing about sending emails is to figure out when people open those emails so you can contact them. So best practices is that I will send the email, I will call them to let them know that I sent the email, and then once they open it, I will call them again to make sure they read the email. Don't tell people obviously that you know that they opened the email, okay? But you know, I will call them and say, I sent you the email, did you have an opportunity to read it? And that gives you an opportunity to talk to those people at least 2 times. Every time you send an email, you talk to them twice. The excuse is that you're sending those emails, and the email have good information and questions and try to, you know, engage people. So if you have any questions regarding this process, please let me know. And whenever you're ready to start, let me know, give me the thumbs up and we can get you started. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.